Namaste. Hello, everyone. A warm welcome to all of you for joining us this evening. It's great to be here. My name is Anisha Nair Thavan, and it gives me great pleasure to moderate today's event. It's a momentous occasion for the North Cap University, which in its 25th year of establishment announces joining the Sintana Alliance, a global network of ambitious universities working together with Arizona State University to bring a dynamic higher education experience to the National Capital Region, Haryana, and India. Named the most innovative university in the US by the US News and World Report for the last 6 years, and one of the world's most prestigious universities by Times Higher Education, Arizona State University is a top ranked public research university which measures itself by those it includes, not by those it excludes. The higher education system in India is the second largest in the world, and it is undergoing a transformation as part of the vision laid down by the new education policy with an ambitious plan to achieve a gross enrollment ratio GER of 50% by 2035. The COVID 19 pandemic has been a powerful catalyst of change in an already evolving global education landscape where technology has become a key enabler. The current competitive environment also raises the need for students to be well versed in digital skills, which have become essential for careers in the 21st century. NCU's unique three-pillared collaboration with Arizona State University and Santana Education is based on solid collaboration focusing on academic, research, and digital transformation, benefiting NCU students by empowering them with a global vision, innovative learning models, and must-have digital skills. To talk more about this first of its kind partnership, I have my distinguished guests present here who will share their vision. Let me start by welcoming Julia Rosen, Vice President, Global Academic Initiatives at ASU. Julia leads a global team that contributes to and executes ASU's global strategy in order to expand the university's global impact. Julia oversees the university's comprehensive capacity building partnership with Santana Education. She serves as a coordinating unit for the university's broad initiatives with the MasterCard Foundation, the Al Ghurair Foundation for Education, and Open Society University Network. Representing Santana Education, we have Doug Becker, the founder and chairman of Santana Education. Santana Education is founded in association with Arizona State University. Doug was the former chairman, CEO, and the founder of the largest university network in the world, Laureate International University. With over 3 decades of experience in the education sector, Doug established Santana based on the belief that universities play an indispensable role in developing nations, communities, and individuals. Doug currently serves on the board of trustees of Johns Hopkins Medicine and Johns Hopkins International. And finally, from the North Cap University, we have Dr. Milind Padalkar, Pro-Chancellor of the North Cap University. Dr. Milind has a unique blend of corporate and academics, having held senior executive positions at IT companies, building multi-billion-dollar businesses in India and abroad before returning to academia to lead management education. Dr. Milind is professor in the areas of quantitative methods and operations management, and game theory is his favorite research subject. Thank you all for joining us here. It's a great pleasure to have you all with us. So let me begin by asking a couple of questions to Doug about Santana and global higher education. Doug, what is the Santana Alliance?
Thank you so much, and I'm really excited to be a part of this important event today. Santana Alliance is really intended to create a global network of ambitious, like-minded universities that want to increase access and opportunity for students in their country and around the world. It's based on prior experience of many members of our team that found that when universities work together, they can accomplish much more for students and have a great social impact. The quality and the opportunity for students is certainly continues to be an impediment for countries all over the world. And I think the opportunity in India with this ambitious NEP that envisions a doubling of the participation in higher education is a perfect place for us to bring our model, our ideas for how education is evolving, and certainly education will be changing following the grievous damage of the pandemic that we're all experiencing, and especially in India today. These are opportunities, though, for us to come out of the pandemic, to come forward into the future together, but not to have to do it alone. And fundamentally, our idea for the Santana Alliance is to find a way to bring some of the resources from the best resourced and most global and highest ranked universities to universities that want to make this and these opportunities available to their students.
Right. That, how is the partnership with ASU and Santana Alliance keeping universities, alive and helping them grow in their regional market?
Well, growth is very important. If a university is able to grow, it can increase its own resources and offer opportunities for its students that otherwise might not be possible. But growth is not an easy thing. And for my own case, having observed India for many years, we all know what a demand and desire there is for education. Every family in India looking for better opportunities for their kids. But we also know that many universities don't necessarily accomplish the goals of growth just because they want to grow. It actually takes a tremendous array of resources for a university to be able to grow. And first and foremost, you need to anticipate what the job opportunities and needs of a country will be in the future. You need to envision programs that will allow students to access that future. You have to find a way to make the education that you're delivering affordable and accessible, including through the use of technologies, something else that the NEP envisions, the use of hybrid delivery to make education more accessible. It just takes a tremendous amount of resources. And so this idea of the Santana Alliance and our partnership with Arizona State, it's really based on Arizona State's own desire to engage globally and to take and share resources that it has, ranging from curriculum and access to faculty and research collaborations to engage in the world, but looking for a lens to concentrate their resources and capabilities. And that's really the role of Santana, to concentrate and deliver ASU's resources to a very small and selected group of universities that we believe can take that opportunity in order to really do something forward-looking and unique and of great importance to their community. In this case, especially such an important community as the NCR, which is why we chose this region and this university to be our first example of what we can do in India.
Right. Now, there are many universities, hundreds of universities in India. How did you shortlist NCU to be part of the Santana Alliance?
Well, I've had the privilege of knowing North Cap University for many years. In having met several of the founders and the leadership team, I understood that this was a university that was had been successful as a engineering-focused university, but with an ambition to expand, to serve students, to really be a part of creating an innovative new path forward for higher education in India. And a lot of it just has to do with vision, ambition, reputation, and a total devotion to quality and to student well-being. I found all of those characteristics at North Cap University from when I first walked through the gates to see their campus. The location is also very strategic for us, not only in the NCR, which is, as I mentioned, such a large and important area that is really one of the global world centers, but in Gurugram, where we know so many of the large Indian companies, but of course, especially international companies as well, are concentrated. So a trustworthy, ambitious, high quality, small institution eager to have a bigger impact, open to transformation. And this is very important because the story of ASU itself is a story of transformation, becoming one of the top universities in the world just in the last 20 years. To see and recognize that same kind of ambition in an institution like North Cap University was really inspiring for me. And it was really a pleasure for me to be a part of this initiative in bringing North Cap and Arizona State together with that Santana resource as the lens to concentrate the energies of both.
Thanks, Doug, and cheers to new beginnings and a new future for all the students who are studying in NCU. And of course, India is also going to benefit, getting a pool of qualified young professionals to lead the way. Thank you so much, Doug. I'm now going to ask Julia to come in and help us with a few questions. Julia, how does ASU look at the second largest higher education market in the world, especially in the context of the new education policy and the internationalization of higher education as proposed by the government of India?
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me here. It's a real honor to be here at the forefront of this great new collaboration between ASU Santana and NCU. ASU does have quite a bit of traction. We've been working in India for several years. We have more than 11,000 Indian alums and students, and enrollment from India has continued to grow. We have some fantastic industry partnerships, including a very notable one with Infosys. And we have research partnerships with numerous Indian institutions. ASU faculty have co-authored hundreds of research papers with Indian scholars. Having said all of that, while we have been successful in these individual projects, they are just that, individual projects. None of these partnerships are as comprehensive as what we are looking to achieve with NCU in the capital region. Unlike conventional academic partnerships, which are restricted to a school or a department or a program, this is a university-wide strategic collaboration with both institutions. And we think that the themes of NEP will further accelerate this partnership. I mean, the themes of promoting research, online learning, new educational modalities, internationalization, student credit portability, all of these things will help accelerate our partnership with NCU and also seed many other international collaborations with Indian institutions.
Right. This is certainly very welcome for a lot of Indian students to get the global exposure that they will. Now, what is powered by ASU? What does that mean?
Sure. The primary aim of Powered by ASU is to allow students to be as successful as they possibly can be through innovation and internationalization. And thinking about that, we believe that the curriculum and the student learning experiences have got to become more global in order to provide students with a much broader set of skills and capabilities. And the broader set of skills and capabilities will in turn increase their competitiveness in the job market, whether they're seeking jobs with an existing company or starting their own companies as entrepreneurs. Also, qualified students at NCU will be able to obtain an ASU degree at an affordable price point because they'll be able to start their education at NCU and through a carefully articulated arrangement, come to ASU to finish their degree. So they will end up with both an NCU and an ASU degree, which we believe will make them incredibly competitive in the marketplace. And ASU students also benefit because they will have more places to study abroad. And of course, we will have a more enriched global environment at ASU.
Wow, that sounds exciting. How does ASU visualize NCU after 5 years of this Powered by ASU partnership?
Well, it's a little hard to predict the future, but if I had to give it a shot, I would say that we see hundreds of students from NCU acquiring degrees at ASU and NCU, but their ability to acquire a degree at ASU would be at a much affordable price point, thus increasing access for an ASU degree to Indian students that otherwise would not be possible but for this alliance. We see new research collaborations, especially those focused on what we call use-inspired research. And what that means is that together, ASU and NCU faculty and students will be tackling real-world problems. We see an internationalized NCU campus and an ASU campus further globalized by the linkages between ASU and NCU. But I would really just like to reiterate that this is not a foreign branch campus for ASU. Instead, this is a unique type of partnership, which is a little hard to explain because it's innovative. It is so comprehensive that I think ultimately will transform both institutions and affect thousands of students in the years to come.
That's really heartening to hear. So many opportunities will open up for Indian students, and they have so much to look forward to. Thank you so much, Julia.
Thank you.
The Alliance shall be endorsed under the unique logo of Powered by ASU, a testament to the comprehensive partnership between ASU and NCU, where for the first time ever, a top tier international public university is collaborating with an Indian university. So, with the collaboration coming in place, it's time to unveil the partnership logo of NCU and ASU. Of a new tomorrow shining bright for the 360-degree growth of NCU students in the future. Now, the academic partnership would not have been possible without the guidance of the president of the Arizona State University, Michael Crow. Dr. Michael Crow is an educator, a knowledge enterprise architect, science and technology policy scholar, and higher education leader. He became the 16th president of the Arizona State University in July 2002 and has spearheaded ASU's rapid and groundbreaking transformative evolution into one of the world's best public metropolitan research universities. Under Dr. Crow's leadership, ASU has established 25 new transdisciplinary schools, including the School of Earth and Space Exploration, the School for Future of Innovation in Society, and the School of Human Evolution and Social Change, and launched trailblazing multidisciplinary initiatives, including the Biodesign Institute, the Julianne Wrigley Global Futures Laboratory, and an important initiative in the humanities and social sciences. While President Crow could not make it for the event with us today, he has sent us this video message. Let's listen to it.
Arizona State University couldn't be more excited than our evolving relationship with North Cap. We were just 20 years ago an evolving university like North Cap is now. We're very excited to be a part of that, to build this alliance with North Cap, to expand the degree programs, to move into new areas, to expand into broader areas of engineering, and to expand beyond engineering also. We know how to work at scale. We know how to work with students that come from every family background. We know how to work with learners from every background, using technology, using learning systems, using learning management assets that we have and special learning tools that we have. It's been really exciting here in the US to greatly enhance the number of graduates that we're producing and the breadth of family backgrounds that they're coming from. And so we really look forward to our alliance with North Cap to be able to work together to achieve some great things at North Cap and in Metro Delhi, and couldn't be more excited about getting this going and look forward to it. Thank you.
What an inspiring message from President Crow. Now, we have a lot of our friends from the media who have joined us for this event. May I request those who have questions to please type them into the chat box, and we shall pick up your questions and post them to our speakers who are present on the dais here. Please do mention who the question is directed to as well. So now let me move to the North Cap University, which will be at the center of the transformation, and ask a few questions to Dr. Milind Padalkar as well. Thank you so much for being here, Dr. Milind Padalkar. Why is NCU partnering with ASU and the Sintana Alliance?
Well, thank you for having me. With this collaboration, we are stepping confidently into our future. Our core value has not changed. Our core value is to prepare the student very well for the future and make the education affordable. And this collaboration connects into our core value in three powerful ways, because the education landscape has already changed in what we consider as three fundamental ways. First, the student. Gen Z is now firmly digital. She consumes the content very differently from the earlier chalk and board generation. Second, the content itself is changing because the technology is changing, and its impact on the way industry functions, economy and society function, all that is changing. So clearly the student must be taught different things from what we used to be. And third, the pedagogy. The way you structure and deliver the content has changed. Our experience with COVID has only accelerated this change. we can testify that after 1.5 years, there is an online fatigue amongst the student community, and there is an urgent need to alter the pedagogy. We realize that these are global changes, and the pace of change is fast, so we don't have the time to do this organically. As a trusted leader in this space with 25 years of leadership, we too must change, and therefore we are turning to the global leaders who are innovating in this space. And that's the essence of this idea of collaboration.
All right. Sounds very exciting. So, how do you visualize this partnership to help the NCU students, the faculty, the industry, the Indian ecosystem at large? You spoke about the online fatigue that is coming in. What's this new way of teaching, the new pedagogy that is going to help the students?
So what this does is to really marry our leadership in our markets with the substantial base of innovation in course curricula, the pedagogies that Arizona State University and the network universities bring to us. This is a deep collaboration we are talking about. Unlike the usual conventional point-to-point arrangements, this relationship opens to us a large library of digital content and many avenues of faculty to faculty collaborations, whether they be for course development or for research. And this is across many disciplines and programs. Obviously, the faculty gains from these arrangements, and faculty is one of the important constituents and stakeholders in this whole ecosystem. We are also making substantial investments in the digital and physical infrastructure. Our theme of digital first captures this idea without the loss of personalization in the learning, because we realize that all learning ultimately is personal. The digital first brings the content in a seamless way to the learner, but we don't want to lose the personalized touch. In this sense, every student of NCU will benefit from the enhanced global access to a superior educational experience. Additionally, the desiring student will obtain pathways to special certifications, accelerated master's programs, which bring down the time as well as the cost of overall education, and dual degrees. That and more is what NCU 2.0 really stands for.
Right. So I want to find out a little more about the NCU 2.0. So how do you envision the NCU after 5 years? If you can do some crystal ball gazing for us.
So very simply, that's a very good question. As I've already said, NCU 2.0 is a completely revamped educational experience that puts the students at the center of our affairs. And this experience goes through three pillars of innovation, which is what our partner universities will bring. Digital first, which creates the highways of putting content to the learner, and internationalization. I speak about internationalization because pretty much every technology today is international. There is nothing much local. When I look at some other programs which tended to be local earlier, for instance, law, we always used to look at law as a local knowledge base, but that is also changing with the privacy laws, the cyber security laws, patent protections, intellectual property laws. The space of law is also morphing into internationalization. So if I look forward by 5 years, and as a famous scientist has said, all predictions to future are essentially wrong. However, it is possible for us to imagine the future. In future, we will look at a much expanded NCU 2.0 with the growth, number of students who will be able to reach out and therefore create a benefit for larger and larger number of students. We are looking at opening new schools, new programs, and very simply the pace of innovation will accelerate. Let me give you a small example. Let's look at digital marketing. This digital marketing is essentially, if you look at 10 years back, it was only a trend at an infancy stage. Today, digital marketing is very powerful. And as the industry collaborates with us, because a lot of actions on some of these trending technologies are happening in leading academia in the world, as well as the industry. So NCU 2.0 will be a very network entity which fetches knowledge from various sources and puts them on the desktop of a student. And this knowledge base will come from academia, from our partner universities, the experimentations that they're having, and also the industry, the state-of-the-art trials in the industry. And that knowledge will also be brought into the classroom. And in that sense, the classroom will expand, the student will expand, and we will simply prepare, we go back to our core, we'll simply prepare the student very, very well for his or her future. That is going to be our emphasis.
Right. Dr. Millet, just wanted to check, is this partnership with ASU including all the courses that you currently offer?
That and more, Anisha. Certainly it touches all the courses we offer. We offer a variety of programs in engineering disciplines, undergraduate, postgraduate, as well as doctoral programs. We have management school and liberal arts school, which offers appropriate courses in those disciplines. And then we have a school of law today. But as we go forward, we will have more and more schools as the economy evolves, and we want to keep running on the treadmill as fast as the changes happen. So every student will benefit. New students will benefit from access to newer programs or newer courses. We have a concept of digital courses. We have a digital of global signature courses. And then we will have innovations in the way we package the courses so that we will bring specialization earlier and earlier in the education cycle than later.
All right. So thank you for that answer, Dr. Millet. We've started getting a few more questions, which is coming in from our press friends. So we've got a question from Nikesh for Julia. And the question is, any new strategic changes post this alliance that can be expected in NCU?
At ASU or NCU? So I think, so at NCU, I would certainly defer to Dr. Milland, but I think he's already outlined like fantastic changes that are already underway and already have traction. I think from our perspective, the real goal here is rather than establishing a traditional foreign branch campus or rather than doing an ordinary academic partnership is to unite the curriculum and the energy and the innovation that we've been building over the past 20 years with the management expertise of Sintana and the energy and ambition of NCU to create a partnership that hasn't really existed before, at least to my knowledge, in India or in the capital region.
Right. Doug, we have a question coming in from Anthony. The question is, what are your thoughts on the growth of India in terms of higher education? Perhaps, that question is coming because in India, we have a lot of universities, and barring a few innovative private universities, higher education is seen as lethargic in old school, which is why a lot of Indian students, go abroad to study newer things, new age education. So what are your thoughts on the growth of India in terms of higher education?
Well, in this case, it's interesting because globally you have the same concerns. Many students feel that universities are not keeping pace with changes in society, especially changes in the world of work. And of course, that's where most students are hoping to graduate and enter successfully so that they can contribute to their societies and of course also benefit their families and their communities. So growth, of course, can be measured in many ways. India has grown and has many universities, but having a lot of universities is just a small step. Those universities have to themselves create capacity in the right areas. And one of those capacities, what people think of capacity as seats, but really it's the capacity for change that I think is most needed and most important at this time. For me, for the past 30 years, as I've been an observer and a student of the international higher education arena, I have seen that all over the world, people worry that universities don't have a vision for the future, that they're following where the world is going and a little bit behind, which is ironic because in some areas, universities through research are actually cracking open the path to the future. So it's really a question of how do you bring these two ideas together? The need for a university to drive forward to the future, to be a part of setting the future, but also, of course, to make sure that they bring many students and communities along with them. Those are areas where I think Arizona State has just been an exceptional example of what can be accomplished. The idea that in the United States, there's actually a ranking for the most innovative university shows you how much of a thirst there is for this type of innovation and leadership. And for Arizona State now for 6 years in a row to have been ranked as the #1 university for innovation, I think it just gives an idea of how this can be done. Now, it requires an enormous array of resources, and not every university can find those resources. That's why the fact that they're willing to share such resources to make it possible for North Cap, as an example, to bring these ideas to the NCR, I think is very exciting. But we also intend to do this in other regions in India as well, once our collaboration with North Cap has shown the way.
Okay. Dr. Milind, we've got a question from Kanika Khurana for you. The question is, how does NCU become a smart learning campus with this partnership?
Well, the definition of smart will differ from different to people to people. For us, definition of smart is how do we transport smart content in a smart way to a student who will become smart. And if I define what smart student is, finally the test of smartness is to be adjudged by the market, by the industry, by the higher education, and a lot of attention in terms of preparation, content, the time that student spends inside the classroom, outside the classrooms, interventions towards experimental pedagogies. So it's not only chalk and board, stand-up teaching, but hands-on experience with industry projects. So us going to industry and fetching the state-of-the-art projects and let the students work on the databases and labs where the real-life problems are being solved. Essentially, if a student walks out of the NCU with a degree and finds that the industry was easy because the university life was difficult and we have seen all the problems there are when we visit the industry, that becomes smart. Now, how to do it? Now that is not, there is no textbook that will tell you how to do this. We will have to experiment, and that's where we'll benefit from the energies, collective intellectual energies of ASU, the Sintana network universities. There'll be lots of conversations. We will open up to the industry and listen to them. We'll look at our own alumni and listen to them. So we'll be a lot more in the listening mode, doing more, and testing mode. And we always say what you can't control what you cannot measure. So we'll also be measuring at every step of the way. To us, this is a way to approach the question of smartness.
Right. We have one question coming in from Shaina Kaldra. And Julia, if you could first take this up, and I'll ask Dr. Milind to dwell on this as well. So the question is, how do you make this academic partnership work?
Mm-hmm. Sure. Well, I'll start with this, and if you want to add a little bit later, Dr. Milind. So we view Sintana as an integration layer between ASU and these very selective, ambitious universities around the world, of which NCU is our partner in the capital region. So there are specific, what we call offerings, and specific ways in which we work together. So for example, one way in which we'll work together is through co-teaching. And this is where you have an ASU professor teaching a course with an NCU professor on ground in India. And so in this way, both, it's in one sense a faculty development strategy, and in another sense, it allows NCU students to basically take an ASU class, even though it is really co-taught between an ASU professor and NCU professor. We have specific ways in which we're sharing our curriculum, our syllabi, our learning objectives, so that we can align the academic standards between ASU and NCU. We have a number of specific ways in which we introduce faculty and open up certain faculty talks that are happening within the ASU environment and sharing that faculty knowledge with NCU faculty. And there's many more, but the broader point is there's very specific strategies in which ASU and NCU are linked under the umbrella of this alliance.
And if I may jump in to add to what Julia said, we look at Sintana education as providing the essential woodwork of innovation, and let me explain by that. If take Sintana education out of this, we could still have point-to-point relationship with ASU and NCU, and then we would just do a tango together. However, the education and learning is also social and cultural, and an education that is innovated for, let's say, an American audience. When we bring that to India, we get into a new phase of experimentation. Maybe we'll discover better practices or newer practices that work here, and perhaps not somewhere else. We look at our university in Mexico, which is part of this this network. They will solve their problems in probably a different way, but those could have relevance for us too. Let me cite a specific case. We can teach a student digitally in a very powerful way, but how do you test that student? How do you test the learning when you cannot see the student writing an exam? And there could be perhaps much smarter ways to do that. When we look at some of our students that we might reach out to rural areas, the bandwidth problems might be numerous, and therefore, what is the best way to package this content to areas which do not benefit from 5G or 4G bandwidth? We will get into that experimental mode. We will innovate in the same way that some university in Uzbekistan will innovate, some university in Mexico will innovate, and as we innovate together in a network, we create what is called a network effect. This will also be our way of giving back to the network, our way of adding best practices to the already growing pool of best practices. And we hope ASU will also benefit by this internationalization. So when we say innovation and internationalization, we want to de-layer them from just jargons that that mean different things to different people. We want to give a specific connotation and specific meaning to these innovations, the concept of innovation and internationalization, so that it's immediately operational. We define the mechanics, we measure, and we adopt best practices. We enshrine them in our ways of working, and we carry them forward and continue a journey of discovery. Because the future has to be discovered, but before that, we have to imagine it first. And this collaboration gives us a way to imagine.
Definitely. So exciting things coming up. We have one question that has come in from Bulbul Bhavan. Her question is, how is this alliance expected to open up avenues for Indian students in the US? Now, I'm sure this is a question which is of great interest to a lot of Indian parents. Would you like to come in here? Because, it seems like, this partnership is about dual degrees. Is that it, or is there more to this?
Well, there's a lot more to it than about dual degrees. The issue, while the dual degrees do make access to a U.S. top degree like Arizona State much more affordable, but it's still costly. And of course, the student has to have the family circumstance to be able and willing to leave India to study. What I find exciting and transformational about this partnership is what we will do for every student at North Cap University. So every student will have a chance to study in a course or a program in which some of that curriculum has come directly from Arizona State. And then the faculty at North Cap decide where and how to integrate that with the many excellent teachings that they are already providing, or to use this as the base to build something completely new. Every student will have a chance to participate in some course where one of the lecturers or teachers for that course could be an ASU faculty member. These are things that can be offered to every student of the North Cap University without them having to pay any more money. And then students who are able to take advantage all the way up to the opportunity to perhaps take their final undergraduate year or part of their master's degree in the United States, of course, they get a whole other range of benefits from that, including the chance to live and work in the United States and access the US workforce. Arizona State, for example, is one of the top suppliers of the workforce for Silicon Valley in the United States. So many opportunities. And that's what I think is unique about this. The fact that many North Cap University professors will have the chance to collaborate on research in specific areas where they and their counterparts at Arizona State find something meaningful to collaborate on. So that's what I think makes this so different. And I liked the way Julia put it. It's not a branch, which is essentially trying to export Arizona State's model. And it's not the sort of typical one-to-one project-based, narrowly defined and short-term collaboration, which is really what's standard in terms of bilateral agreements between universities around the world. It's something utterly new, deeper and transformational. And you saw that with the logo. The idea that Arizona State and North Cap University's logos themselves are intertwined gives a sense of commitment to a partnership together. So I do think this will, of course, and is intended to benefit students in India, but we know that ASU students, I think, are going to be very excited to see how this is evolving and what opportunities might be for them. Could they come and intern at a company in Gurugram because of relationships that Arizona State and North Cap developed together? Seems like there will be many opportunities that we can't even envision today as we sit here at the onset of a great new collaboration.
And may I add something to what Doug just said?
Yes, please go ahead.
Let's take, for instance, everybody talks about dual degrees, and dual degrees are not unknown in India. They are fairly common. At least the phrase is very well known. But if you look at a couple of other ideas that we are bringing in, say, for instance, pathways for accelerated masters. Today, many students do want to go abroad and fulfill their master's degrees in US universities. That normally takes 2 years. With the time of 2 years, you're looking at substantial money invested into that. What the accelerated masters does is that it allows you to take the exact same courses in India at Indian cost and have the credits be recognized within the ASU framework, so that you get your masters earlier, lesser living cost, lesser tuition fees, and faster out the same degree. Now this so connects back to our core concept of good education must be affordable. Now, if you think of the affordability point, this opens the avenue for many more students who otherwise would find it hard to spend that kind of money and to go abroad. When you bring down the price barrier, it just opens possibilities for more students. Secondly, let's think of instead of full masters, let's think of specialized certifications. And this is really true for trending technologies. Say, for instance, cyber security. Every year the certificate changes because the body of knowledge changes. The artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data analytics, these are all not just buzzwords, but those are also changing universes. And so if you look at a certificate program, 6 month, 9 month, 1 year certificate program, that becomes possible for us to offer to our students with the attendant benefits of being industry relevant, whether that's in India or overseas. Okay. So
lots of pluses.
Like Doug said, we haven't imagined everything, but we have only created a crucible where we can do a lot of things and see what works, what will create a payoff for the student and therefore to all of us.
Right. Dr. Malin, we've got one question coming in from Kritika as well. She's asking, will the price to study at NCU change after the alliance? Of course, I think she means the course fee.
This is a question for me?
Yes, sir. Will the course fees, the price to study at NCU change after the alliance?
Immediately there will be no change. okay, our prices for fees are basically linked to overall calculations of economy and the market. While we always pay attention to the affordability question, and we also offer numerous wide range of scholarships to deserving students. So our attempt will be to keep the overall educational experience affordable. As the market proceeds, as the normal inflation happens in the economy, the price points are bound to change because after all, education is like any other product. And no product in the world has the fixed price for years and years. So,
Right. We have a question coming in from G2 Vet. Julia, I request you to take this up. So the question is, how does this partnership differ from other typical partnerships? I'm sure Arizona State University is a top tier research institution in the world. You would be having partnerships around the globe. So how is this one with NCU different?
Absolutely. Well, we have hundreds of partnerships, hundreds of them in India and many hundreds outside of India as well. And I think the typical academic partnership, university to university, is really quite small and narrow. So many of these originate because you have a professor at ASU who knows a professor at another institution, and this whole agreement will be about one research project. Or we'll have, student exchange programs. Will there be 3 students going back and forth? And so we do have, and most universities do have a number of existing agreements. And listen, and those are fine, because if for those 3 students, that's a fantastic experience and it'll change those 3 students' lives. But as we look at, sitting as the largest public university in the United States and the most innovative, our hope here and our strategy working with ASU and NCU in the Capital Region is to create a partnership that is so much more comprehensive, broader, transformational. It really goes to the core. NCU has a new logo. They are really redesigning themselves to be at the forefront of innovation, internationalization. And we're trying to use our experience and our knowledge, which, by the way, we are continuing stateside. We are continuing to innovate in every single way possible. But how can we partner with a university such as NorthCap with this ambition, with the local market knowledge and context to do something rather than affecting 3 students, perhaps looking at affecting 300 or 3,000 students?
Right. It really does sound very exciting, and people who are watching this are thinking ahead, perhaps. And they are also pretty excited about what the future holds. Now, Doug, there is a question that has come in, and I'd like you to address this. The question is, how can thousands of alumni of NCU make use of this opportunity? It's great that NCU's we have a strategic partnership with ASU. So how can the alumni of NCU who've already passed out of college, of the university, do something here? Can they contribute to help this program grow?
I think
please go.
Sorry, please. Oh, yeah.
No,
I wasn't sure. Was that for Anisha?
I wasn't sure that was for either. You go ahead and I'll add to it.
Yeah, go ahead, then we come to Julia.
Apologies. Thank you. I think that there are many ways for the alumni group, really of both institutions, to participate. For NorthCap alumni, I think that they will find, I thought one of the points that Dr. Millen said was very interesting. There is a movement towards shorter programs and certificates that allow people already in the workforce to reskill or to upskill in different ways. And I think given the vast content that Arizona State offers in so many sought after areas in business and technology and engineering, I think that there can be offerings made available to NorthCap alumni and other people already in the workforce who want to benefit from this opportunity. That would be an example that would come to mind for me.
Right. Julia, would you like to add?
Sure. Well, taking on that theme, ASU believes, and I think we all recognize, that there's this false dichotomy between or you're learning or you're working, right? That just does not exist. We are learning and working throughout our entire lives. And so what Doug mentioned in terms of certificates for alums, that is a very kind of concrete way, I think, in which the alums can be engaged. I also think that ASU alums, as well as the NCU alums, can be engaged as mentors to current undergraduate and graduate students. And there's a number of programs we have underway in that regard. And I think we could adapt them given the, working with NCU to adapt them to make sure that both NCU and ASU students receive additional mentorships from current alums.
May I add quickly to this?
Yes,
Anish,
go ahead. Please go ahead.
if I look at our alumni base as a fairly old university, 25-year-olds in this old university in the business, our early alumni are now probably in their midlife. Okay, they are experts in technologies that have slightly fallen behind, and the newer technologies didn't exist when they passed out or when their initial working years were. Now, for them, this avenue becomes very interesting because they can refresh themselves and be ready for industry of tomorrow. They can also contribute by bringing in the industry knowledge of the problems that they are facing in the various industries, and help us shape the curricula for our current students, and also give ideas about more certifications to be either designed or delivered. So I see a qualitative as well as quantitative, networking with alumni that will help us both. The network, the alliance, the NCU as a university, and there will be powerful give back to alumni as well.
Right. Dr. Milind, one question coming in is, how does NCU seek ways to expand its own reach via the strategic partnership with ASU?
A variety of ways. We are, as I said, we are making lots of investment in digital and physical infrastructure, and that also means investments in manpower, also organizational structuring, etc. So we are, at a strategy board. Reach in our world is very simple. We just basically reach out after having identified who the people are, and our reach will be to the industry, will be to the alumni, will be to new students, will be to schools that feed the students into higher education systems. We'll also reach out to the parents who are as concerned stakeholders in the at least in the undergraduate degrees as any, and then we'll also reach out to the other countries, nearby countries, and eventually spread out to the foreign countries as we develop our base of excellence. We can very well imagine that people from students from other countries would want to come here and learn, and the content and the delivery would have been sufficiently internationalized and digitalized. That's the way we are looking.
Right. Julia, another question coming in is, how will the partnership elevate the quality of teaching and learning?
So the way I see it, both at ASU and NCU, is that we are, ASU is sharing a good amount of our online curriculum. So the NCU faculty will be able to see what are the learning objectives, what's the syllabus, what are the assessments, in a very kind of tactical, granular way. Because you can talk about quality in a very general sense, but it doesn't mean anything unless it can be translated to the individual professor who has responsibility for teaching a particular set of students. So I think over time, the NCU faculty and the ASU faculty will be working together. But I think as a start, being able to share our curriculum and having the NCU faculty analyze that and adapt it and translate it and make sure that it makes sense within the Indian context will be a very powerful way to ultimately continue to improve the quality of excellent teaching at NCU.
Right. Julia, I'll ask you this question once again now. What does NCU powered by ASU exactly mean? I mean, for the students, for parents who are watching, who would perhaps want an international education for their children, but still want to keep them close. Just trying to understand, what does NCU powered by ASU exactly mean?
I think it's a signal. For me, Powered by ASU is a signal of how comprehensive and how deep our partnership is with NCU. We do not give away this term Powered by ASU to any university. It really signifies the depth and the comprehensive nature of our partnership that will ultimately lead to better education, better career opportunities, and more expanded student outcomes for NCU students.
Thank you so much, Julia, Doug, and Dr. Valent for taking up all the questions and patiently answering all of them. I hope all of the questions in the minds of those watching, parents, the press friends of ours, all of those have been answered. I would like to thank all of you for being here today on this very special occasion celebrating one of its kind collaboration. This is a successful leap towards setting a mark of progressive and quality higher education in India. I would once again like to thank Julia Rossen, Doug Becker, and Dr. Milind Padankar for taking the time out for being part of this launch and explaining the significance of this alliance and how this is going to impact the lives of students, their parents, their families, and their careers. Thank you so much. And I want to thank everyone for joining into this event as well. We are concluding this session now. We have shared we will of course share the official press release with the media. In case you have any unanswered queries or more questions that you would like to pose, you can connect with our media contacts whose coordinates will be shared in this closing slide. You can, of course, reach out to the spokespersons of NCU and get more clarity on any questions that may have been left behind. Though all of three of them have really taken up all questions conclusively, wholeheartedly, and given quite a vivid picture of what lies ahead for those who are going to be studying at NCU. Thank you all for joining us. Goodbye.